There is a famous line from the movie called Godfather. I'm going to make him an offer that he cannot refuse. We have the Godfather on the show.
I think that's important though, that you continue to grow. You know, you're looking for opportunities to learn more every day.
Welcome to Talkex.
There's nothing better in life for me than seeing somebody do something for the first time or achieve something for the first time. Just small things.
Paul Michael Gledhill to Talkex.
Several cases we've had people move different regions and then finished up kind of setting up in those regions.
Ordinary to extraordinary.
But I always believe that it's people things. So I always believe that it's about a situation.
My name is Rohit Bassi, your host for the show. Welcome, Paul. Welcome to Talkex. Truly appreciate you being over here. I call you the godfather of digital learning. Now, many people will not ever even have a clue what that means. So to start off, for the audience, for the listeners, digital learning, what is it all about and how did you become the godfather of digital learning?
I don't know, that's a compliment or
it's a compliment, it's a compliment.
Yeah, so we were the first at the game, I guess. So back in 2001, 2002, we started talking about, you know, the potential, and we launched XpertLearning in 2003. When really nobody knew what online was and, you know, what's a learning management system, you know, what is digital content, you know, so it went from e-learning to learning online to digital learning. So I guess I've been through that whole kind of story. So, but yeah, it's been a great journey.
So I remember way back, this was back in the UK. I think it was probably in the 90s sometimes. I remember the first e-learning I came across was the CD disc.
Yes.
You probably predate that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think it was so new. I mean, if I look at my career, you know, I've gone from kind of electrical engineering and then moved into computer engineering. So when we were coding, it was on kind of the first thing, you know, and the modems that made all the noise. So yeah, I've been fortunate to go through all those changes. And I think it's just rapidly changing, you know, the further we go on, every year there's something that's new and exciting. So yeah, it's an evolving journey and I'm happy to have been part of it.
So the interesting thing is, Exceed College, who is sponsoring Talkex, they are doing doctorates, which are fully online.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, wow. What are your thoughts on that? Having a doctorate completely online?
Well, you know, I mean, I would have probably questioned it. I'm still a believer in, you know, a full blended learning solution where you have, you know, mentors and peers and, you know, and tutors and, you know. But I guess now, certainly since the pandemic, it's feasible. It's not something that's out of, you know, wow, how can you do that? I think now it's just almost natural. So yeah, I'd like to, even for myself as a lifelong learner, it's something that you could aspire to and get that sort of PhD. It's amazing.
And I think for the education industry of fraternity, it's been a massive leap in these 2 years going online. And in these 2 years, I'm sure there's been a lot of people who've connected with you, scared like crazy about going online. What's happened in these 2 years?
Yeah, I think if you look at the traditional kind of instructor-led training organizations, then of course it was just a tremendous shock and hurtful for them. And you know, so we just continued to do what we've always done. So there was nothing for us really to change. But yeah, it has been interesting. But there are synergies there, and I think if you look at the whole mergers and acquisitions landscape now, organizations that were pure e-learning players are now acquiring companies that were pure instructor-led training, and vice versa. So there's a lot more of the coming together of both sort of worlds, which for me is a benefit. So it's interesting.
When you're looking at all of this, one of the things, I mean, I've known you for quite a while, and we have worked on certain projects together.
Sure.
And you're not just a digital person, you're more than that. You run your organization, you dabble your feet in different businesses,
Sure.
be it startups or investment, or like you said, mergers and acquisitions.
Sure.
And people who are in organizations or are doing a startup or at that level of going to that growth, want to move on with the growth.
Sure.
They could learn a lot from you, and especially I'm talking about decision-making, problem-solving over here.
Yeah.
Because your years of experience, you've covered the ups and downs.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
like for example, when in 2008, when the credit crunch happened.
Yeah, sure.
Then COVID, and prior to that, before you went into business, you were doing something else.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to substitute the experience. At the end of the day, you can get qualifications and all the rest of it. I think that's important, though, that you continue to grow. You know, you're looking for opportunities to learn more every day. So I think that's an important part of leadership. But for me, it's been just an evolution. You know, it's what starts as advising a business then becomes an opportunity to invest in a business. There are so many more platforms now, for example, that you can go on and commit to, you know, to some funding to help small businesses. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved in local business, in new startups, you know, and it's things like this, projects like this, where you're having conversations, meeting people that give you the opportunities to talk more about it. So yeah, I mean, it's always a constant evolution of kind of my career, from electrical engineering into travel and tourism, you know, into kind of sales and development, into training, and then into entrepreneurship. So, you know, you think, well, this guy's all over the place. But as long as there's creativity, and I like what you said about problem solving, because if you think about just coding, that is a problem to solve. And I'm still involved, so I still do kind of smart home and Internet of Things and things like this. So you're always looking to solve a problem. And I think with business, that's what it always is. You just got to enjoy it, though. I think if you look at problems every day, then, you know, I mean, I guess challenge is a better word. So we're overcoming these challenges. But have fun with that, then you've got a better chance of, you know, surviving and thriving through business.
It's interesting you say businesses are solving problems.
Yeah.
And that is the notion which people need to look at who are in business, is that what you're in there for the business is, yes, there's that profit which you're looking for, but at the end of the day, what problem are you solving? Now, that's in regards to what's happening to get to that profits or providing that service.
Sure.
Now, within your years of experience, especially being the entrepreneur you are, I'm sure you must have come across some painful problems. I'm not going to use the word challenge, painful problems. Could you share one of them and how you resolved them or moved forward them? What did you do?
I think it's general. I mean, there's not anything that kind of sticks out because that's what you're doing. You're solving these challenges every day. But I always believe that it's people things.
Okay.
So I always believe that it's about a situation with an individual, and that becomes more problematic than people think. But I think it's really about sitting down and kind of, you know, managing through that. Open dialogue's important. I remember Jack Welch, you know, talking about manage people out with the same enthusiasm that you manage them in. And I think that's a good philosophy to think about. If there's a challenge, you know, with somebody within a business and they want to move out, then you have to do those conversations that help it to be easier, because you never know when they come back through. Like I said, with all the mergers and acquisitions, they may finish up in the same stable anyway as you. So I think you've got to I think they're the general, more difficult things when it's about people, not necessarily, you know, product, resource, you know, a financial issue. I think it's usually, where it's affected me most has been about people.
And I remember very well recall one particular incident with you is where one of your people was moving country. I think she was moving to the US. Now, in a usual situation, people say, okay, go bye-bye. But you did something else with this person.
So I'm a big believer of, entrepreneurship. So somebody that works within, our organization or any business that shows some flair and ingenuity. If you have that conversation, then you find opportunities. So yeah, in several cases, we've had people move different regions and then finished up kind of setting up in those regions and keeping them on board. And then sometimes people have left and then you finish up working with them in their new place. So again, it's really important that there's no kind of connections lost just because somebody decides that it's not working out for them in your particular, organization.
So when we're looking at this with people, when we're looking at people and people being that challenge because they run the organization with you, we can put as much technology as we want, but at the end of the day, people are going to end up using it. For someone who is in a leadership role, someone who's starting their own business or is a senior executive, having an open mind, how crucial is it for the success of the business?
Well, I think it's more than being open-minded. I think it's more about having the open door policy and being able to converse through any issues. And that's cultural. I think the organisation has to have a certain set of values which create a culture. So I think, for many organisations, even though they don't know it, the culture is not an open door. From right the top through to the layers, there's not that opportunity for anybody to say anything that's going to improve the business. So I think you need that open-mindedness, absolutely.
But that open door.
But that open conversation opportunity so that everybody feels part of the story. And then ensuring that there's a clarity on vision and mission. Like I said, values is really important.
So now, when we look at this, you talk about vision, values, mission. In the recent months, I've been talking to one of my mentors. And he did something very interesting with me. And he said to me, Rohit, what is your vision? I was lost. It's like I couldn't verbalize it. And after going through the exercise, I realized for myself the importance of having that vision, of having that purpose. In your years of experience, would you say vision, purpose, value is important, or is just fluff?
Yeah, it depends. I think it depends on where you're putting it. I can look around the room and you can always see quotes and things like this, and here's the 7 values that people have to know. But what does it mean at the end of the day? So I think, there has to be a clear vision. What do you want to do?
Where you're going to go,
for me, I guess one of the values is helping people. So through digital learning and learning online, you're helping hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis, which is really important. So with that in mind, how do you tell that story so that it becomes known across the whole organization? So you're not just going, oh yeah, I know what the vision is, I can read that. But I live and breathe it, and I think that's how, it's almost work to do that. But then it's like a broken record, just keep repeating it until everybody gets it, and that's what builds the culture, so that you don't have to down the line and everybody knows what you're around. And then it's finding somebody that isn't living and breathing that. I remember one of the guys came and said, I'm not sure, I want to be involved in, psychology and helping people directly. And I said, well, we do, but fine, let's talk about that. And, how can we help you to get what you actually need? And I think that's really important.
Okay, interesting. In terms of running your own organization, decision making, a massive part. You have gone through certain changes within your organization where people have been interested in acquiring you.
Yeah.
And for a long time you were not interested in doing that,
yeah.
and then suddenly a number of years ago you changed your mind.
Yeah.
How did you come to that decision of firstly not being acquired and then saying, no, actually let's open our minds and let's consider it? So what happened?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that can lead to that. I mean, it's nice to know what your time frames are.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's, 10 years of this business, there's X amount of growth in this business, and there's a time. So there's different factors that can sort of move that forward or backwards. Obviously, the health of the financial health of the business, the people that want to acquire you, for what reason, how does growth play a part? So there's a lot of questions around it. But I think there's a certain time, there's a time frame that you think, and perhaps as well, you have to be honest with yourself to say, there needs to be some strategic planning with time frames, but also give yourself some slack. Because if you want to, you're in a new startup today and you want to, list in 3 years, and all the in-between fundraisers that you need to do, then you have to be a little bit realistic. So, but it's happening. I mean, the kids these days can start something in the bedroom and sell it for billions in a few years. So there's certainly that appetite for, for acquisition these days, especially in technology and even in my industry of learning and technologies. There's wherever there's appetite and need and growth potential, then obviously there's going to be mergers, acquisitions, and it's always interesting, but timing's key.